So for folks who've decided that a headset is where they want to go, that's the choice they want to make because they use their hands a lot, like I do when I talk. You know, I want to wear a headset mic. So how do you choose? How do you go about sort of guiding that process? Because a lot of times people see another pastor on a web stream or at a conference, and they're like, "Ooh, I need to have the Andy Stanley mic or the, so and so mic or whoever,
But when you see someone, they've spent a crazy amount of time figuring out that specific element for that specific voice.
Yeah.
But you've got Omni elements, and I mean they're pretty forgiving. I mean, in the world of like a headset mic.
Yeah, they sound really good.
They sound really good, but it's Omni, and a lot of people think Omni is just kind of what's going away from the element right there. But Omni,
it's not. It's
everything.
360. It's like put a golf ball over that whole thing.
Right.
That's the pickup pattern.
Right.
And then enlarge that golf ball to the size of this room.
So when we use an Omni element on people, you can hear the pages turning in people's Bibles from like in the broadcast.
Yeah.
Because it's picking up. In fact, you can get away without using audience mics in a room. Sometimes when you have an Omni element,
You get the laughter from the first 3 rows in the PA through their mic.
So you're using Omni mics?
we use both.
Okay.
It depends. Again, it depends on the person's voice and all that.
But I think for sure, it's a better result if they're behind the PA.
Yeah.
If they're out on a thrust in front of the PA, you're going to have a harder time dialing that in.
Yeah.
Because obviously, it's more likely to feed back because you're in front of the speakers.
Right.
We use cardioids because we'll have a lot of times multiple people on stage with these on. So having 2 often and 3 even a couple times a year out there. So we'll use cardioid, and the PA is really close to them and it's really low. So the bottom box is about 16 feet off the ground.
Wow.
And they're really close to it. So we'll get feedback a lot of times in those bottom boxes if I'm not careful. So we use a cardioid.
So some things about a cardioid. I like a cardioid because I can usually get a lot more gain out of it.
Yeah.
But you get a lot of like wind noise or rustle or low end.
If they walk across the stage,
or
it's just,
breath.
Yeah.
Like someone is a heavy breather, or maybe they breathe out of their nose differently. Man, you hear all that with that kind of mic. But the trade-off is I can deal with that and mitigate it with position and all that in order to get the higher gain out of it.
We've also started using the auto mixers that are built into consoles.
Yeah.
Those are great. You got to be really careful with them. You got to know what you're doing, but that's also really helpful. A lot of the consoles have them built in, and basically all it is if you have more than one of these on stage at a time, it will reduce the volume of the one that's not on. So if this guy's talking and the next guy is not, it turns his microphone down.
And it's amazing to me how well those tools are able to pick that up almost instantly.
It's really fast.
So it's like, it really is kind of hands off, and you just let the tool do its job.
It's almost cheating.
Yeah.
But for having a better result in the room, I'll take the cheat.
Yeah, to do like an interview around a table like this or
dude.
a panel discussion or whatever,
Yeah.
it's almost indispensable because of the way it just, it kind of like is the faders for you
Right.
in a lot of ways.
So here's a few things I think we've noted from having a lot of headset mics. So one thing is the cable is, like, you can just tell how fragile this thing is.
Very.
So I mean, that cable, it's like really, really lightweight. So typically if you run this down someone's shirt, if your under stage light presenter is getting a little worked up, this has a tendency to kind of stick to skin. You guys ever had that happen?
Yeah.
And if it sticks to skin, and if it kind of gets yanked on a little bit too much up here, you might hear a pop or a crackle or something like that. You can do all kinds of stuff. And we've started using like a little bit of talcum powder and just put it between your fingers and just run it down the line.
That's a great idea.
It's great.
And so that might help. Like, so when you're dropping this down and all of a sudden that, you don't see the presenter like messing with it because it kind of has a little bit of range of motion.
Doesn't get hung up.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.